It's very 82. We're not far off. What, 20 odd years since our great troops went in the Falklands and got the opportunity to take them, and that's one of the players anyway. So I'm going to bring in Jim, and I mentioned credit to the party. He's staying in the Vista, so afterwards, still got a few weeks till this election time. He could do with a hand. Anybody a bit near him, you know. More hands to the pump, more the merrier. Now, obviously Jim's going to tell you what he's doing, and he's stood before, and he's a candidate, and wants to enlarge it, so I hope we help him, because he hasn't been all that well, you know. So I'll introduce Jim Starkey, who's a credit to the party.
Vice Chairman, Committee, Nationalists. My name is Jim Starkey, and I run the branch in Bicester, in Oxfordshire. Just lately, we've had quite a lot of publicity because Mr. Prescott and all his glory decided to sign the petition and allow the asylum centre to go ahead with it built in the town. The Bicester Action Group, who try to keep away from political parties, they don't want to know us, but they want to fight against the asylum centre, but they don't want to know us. Now, last week I had a little bit of an argument with them because I phoned up, and they turned around and said that we're jumping on the bandwagon. Well, I turned around and said, well, since the 1960s, ever since the Second World War, we've been fighting against people coming into this country, and it's not us that's jumping on the bandwagon, it's them. And the only reason that they are doing that is now because it's in their backyard. But we have been doing it all over the country for years. But they are only complaining and doing this because it's in their backyard. So last week, or a couple of weeks ago, Bernard came over with a few lads from Leamstead, and a lot of lads came up from London, some came down from Birmingham, and we had a good day. Central Television turned up, and 5 newspapers turned up. We had a very, very good media coverage. The television showed us, by the time we'd been interviewed, we felt as if we were being interviewed forever. But they only showed a small caption, which was still good, because we showed it 5 times. Now, the newspapers, 5 newspapers got it, and we've got good coverage on that. A very good write-up on that. And at the moment, things are doing pretty well. It's bringing people over to how they're thinking. But at the end of the day, the Bicester Action Group, as they call themselves, want to keep away from us. They don't want to be looked at as being nationalists or fascists or things like that. A far-right group could dirty their name, as some of their founders have more or less declared. Now then, the other day, they said that they were going to have a candle-lit vigil where they wanted as many people as possible to stand outside the gates of where they're going to build the asylum centre, to give an impression that the 750 asylum seekers, what it would look like with them all standing there. And Inspector Shepherd from the Oxfordshire Police phoned me up, and he said, how many of you are going to stand up there with them? I said, well, none of us are going over to that. Oh, he said, I thought you would have. I said, no. I said, the Bicester Action Group don't want us to be part of them. I said, 1 or 2 of us might go over there, but there's nothing being definitely said that we're going to go. He said, oh, all right then, fair enough. He said, but Mr. Banbury is going, your local MP. I said, yes. I said, that's one of the reasons why I'm going. I said, because he's a conservative dimwit that is holding the seat at the moment to keep it warm for me. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I've already told them on the newspapers that next year is going to be the general election. And he's only keeping that seat one for a nationalist. I said, no, I'm going to have that seat off it. Oh, he said, well done. I was inspector from the police. Oh. Anyway, I said, it's a shame you don't remember. Anyway, he was quite pleasant about it, but we never went across there anyway. But the thing is, at the end of the day, like Bernard has just said, and you lay this all the way along the line, I mean, I was a little bit, I expect some of views were as well, because I felt a little bit from the art, a little bit disappointed the fact that we didn't have enough money to put up maybe some people for candidates for the Euro. And it's a shame really, but by the same token, that's what we're down to. At the end of the day, it's money, and we need money. Now, we need money to put, at all this expense to put candidates up. And I'm going to speak now, I don't care what anybody says, I'm going to speak on their behalf. Because we need people to stand and turn around and say, anybody can go around and put a leaflet through the door. Or stand, or we can all turn up on meetings, and we can all turn around and stand stand next to Terry, Bernard, and go on rallies and show presence. But we need people to stand as candidates. And I keep hearing these foreigners or these idiots in the town where I live, and they say, you're not going to get anywhere because you haven't got members of parliament, you've got any people up there to stand and talk, represent you. I said, that will change. And people are coming over to our way of thinking. And right across the country, they're doing it all the time. Now, some of the people in my town are really starting to piss me off, because I hate hearing these remarks when I walk into a pub, or when I walk down the street, or I might get some sarcastic remark. Oh, you're not going to get anywhere. We will, if we get people to stand. I know it costs money, but we need people to stand all over the country. Next year is the general election, and that is when we're going to make the biggest show of all. I mean, I was afraid to do it when I first got asked by Terry and then. But you've got to make a stand, otherwise you get people in local government in the open towns who stand right. And then you get the general election next year. We've got to get people to stand all over the country. As soon as you start getting people to stand and get voted in, then we can turn around and make a voice, a big voice, to get Tom, Bernard, Terry. We've got to get our top table up there to make a voice in that House of Parliament. And the only way you're going to do that is by us standing as candidates. But we need the money as well. I mean, I'm thinking of all the time, I'm trying to think of things how we can probably make money. And really, we all need to be giving them ideas. Say, well, what about this, what about that? Now I'm thinking about holding a gig where I'm going to hire a big village hall. And I've asked Sid if he'll bring his band down. And maybe a few other bands. And I'm going to get everybody to come, and the money that goes on the door will go to the general election fund. I've even mentioned that might not be a good idea, I mean, but it was a thought of maybe having a general election raffle where I can get tickets and we can get them sold nationally. But any idea that can come from the floor, anything at all, we need the money to be able to put the candidates up. And that is the be and end all of it all. Otherwise, we're not going to get anywhere. We can sit and turn up at a meeting, or we can go on a rally, or we do whatever. But we need to have a say, a big say, and that's the thing we're going to have to do it. People turn around and say, oh, I'm a bit afraid to do that, or I'm going to get a bit of backlash, or I'm going to get this on. There's nothing to be fighting on. I reckon there's nothing to be fighting on. All you've got is anti-Nazi people like that that's going to point the finger and spit at you and this